Foreign Minister Wang Yi meets with his U.S. counterpart Marco Rubio in Manila. Judge Wilson Chan faces reprimand again for repeated plagiarism. And China and U.S. leaders may hold AI talks in September. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi meets with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Philippines Foreign Secretary Teresa Lazaro in separate talks on the sidelines of the ASEAN Foreign Ministers Summit. Wang's meeting with Rubio marks the highest-level contact between the U.S. and China since the nation's respective heads of states met in Beijing in May. This while Wang's meeting with his Filipino counterpart comes at a time of increasing tension between the nations amid recent shakeup in the disputed shoal in the South China Sea. Gloria Feng has more.
Speaking to reporters after his meeting with Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the planned trip to the U.S. by President Xi Jinping was among the topics discussed. He furthers both sides have differences, but their job is to manage them, and there are areas of potential cooperation.
I think President Xi will have a very positive visit when he comes to Washington. Look, these are the two most powerful countries in the world, particularly economics. But also, I mean, we have to have a relationship. And obviously there are areas of great differences. Both sides will acknowledge that. We'll have to work through those. And I think these differences will exist for the foreseeable future. And our job is to sort of manage those so that they never get out of control. We're obviously always going to defend our national interest. And I expect they'll do the same as they define it. But I think there are some areas of potential cooperation. So the work we need to do between now and September is to identify what those areas are so that we can lay the groundwork for a very positive visit to Washington and in September. And so we talked a lot about that.
Rubio, Wang, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, and the European Union will attend a final forum Thursday called the East Asian Summit, where 18 Western and Asian countries, including the 11-nation ASEAN, will tackle geopolitical, economic, and security concerns. Philippine Foreign Secretary and chair of the meeting, Teresa Lazaro, and Wang also sat together, just days after a tense incident near the disputed Ren'ai Jiao in the South China Sea. The Philippine military on Monday accused China's Coast Guard of allegedly injuring a Filipino sailor. China responded by claiming 2 rubber boats belonging to an illegal stationed Filipino vessel had rammed the Chinese patrol boat in a dangerous manner. During an earlier meeting Tuesday, Wang said China stands ready to work with ASEAN to remove disruptive factors, though certain forces within the Philippine military and maritime law enforcement ranks have deliberately provoked incidents in the South China Sea to serve the interest of external forces undermining the process. ASEAN ministers are scheduled to meet Wang with an agenda that includes a discussion on the status of negotiations between China and the regional bloc on a proposed pact called a Code of Conduct, which aims to prevent territorial disputes in the South China Sea from spiraling out of control. Gloria Feng, TVB News.
Earlier in the day, senior officials gathered for the second day of the ASEAN Foreign Ministers meeting in Manila. There, Foreign Minister Wang Yi kicks off with opening remarks that reaffirm China's commitment to building an equitable global governance system and promoting mutual respect among ASEAN nations. In his opening remarks, Wang hailed Chinese President Xi Jinping's proposal of building a community of shared future for humanity and 4 global initiatives, saying they offer a solution to address deficits in peace, in development, in security, and in governance. Wang also underscored the importance of mutual respect and trust in the development of China-ASEAN relations over the years, saying China will continue to act in the principle of peace, development, cooperation, and mutual benefit, and respond to emerging challenges with even stronger solidarity. High Court Judge Wilson Chan has been accused of judicial plagiarism for the 3rd time. Chief Justice Andrew Cheung has issued another serious reprimand to Chan. High Court Judge Wilson Chan's latest allegation of impermissible judicial copying involves a legal dispute between Koo Ming Koon, founder of Namtai Electronics, and his former brother-in-law over the sale of shares. The Court of Appeal judges found that nearly 95% of Justice Wilson Chan's judgment were copied from the defendant's legal submissions. The appellate court judges ruled in favor of the plaintiff's appeal, overturning Wilson Chan's ruling. The case was ordered to be reheard by a different judge. Earlier, Justice Wilson Chan was also found to be embroiled in 2 cases of alleged judicial copying and was reprimanded by the Chief Justice. In response to media inquiries, the judiciary says it is acceptable and relatively common in common law jurisdictions for judges to incorporate party submissions into their judgments. But excessive reliance on those submissions may create the impression that a judge failed to exercise independent reasoning in determining the facts and legal issues, and therefore extensive judicial copying should be avoided. It adds that Justice Chan's work had been adjusted last year, so he mainly handles criminal cases that do not require written judgments. Chief Justice Andrew Cheung and the Chief Judge of the High Court Jeremy Poon will issue serious reprimand to Chan again over the matter and request him to undertake targeted training.
如果聽日有單案件，
Senior counsel Ronnie Tong says the repeated incidents have damaged public perception towards the judiciary, but notes that under the basic law, a judge may only be removed if the person is proven to be unable to discharge judicial duties or has engaged in serious misconduct. Tong says the threshold, however, is exceptionally high. While there is no precedent, Tong says the Chief Justice could also advise the relevant judge to resign. A Hong Kong court on Wednesday convicted a man of sedition after he wrote seditious words in a toilet cubicle at a Tsim Sha Tsui commercial building on 3 occasions. The hearing takes place at the West Kowloon Law Courts. At the time of his arrest, the man was 18 years old. His defense argued that the man suffered from autism and dissociative disorders. In his ruling, the judge rejects such views and says the man demonstrated the same level of concentration as normal people. The sentencing will take place on August 12th. The United States and China are planning to hold talks regarding AI in September as the superpowers confront how to regulate the risks posed by rival models, according to sources familiar with the matter. During an interview with Fox Business News, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent did not confirm the meeting, but cites concerns about intellectual property, saying, "We are finding watermarks of our U.S. large language models on many of the Chinese models," calling these findings unacceptable and said the U.S. will be looking into the matter. Sources say talks will likely be held ahead of the loosely scheduled meeting between the heads of states in the U.S. this September. The news comes amid the decision by Chinese company Moonshot AI to halt subscription to its latest AI model Kimi K3, citing overwhelming demand. The company says it is expanding computing capacity while prioritizing existing subscribers of Kimi K3, an AI model it describes as capable of delivering comparable performance to some of the world's leading closed-source competitors. Welcome back. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky fires General Alexander Syrsky as Commander-in-Chief of Ukraine's armed forces, following days of protests in Kyiv and other cities nationwide demanding his removal. This as 3 people were killed and 13 injured in a Russian bomb attack on Zaporizhia Tuesday. Tracy Furness has more.
In his nightly address, Ukrainian President Zelensky says he has appointed Mikhailo Drapati as the new army chief and thanks Syrsky for his contributions to Ukraine's strong position to the front. Zelensky also says he spoke to the ousted minister Mikhailo Fedorov and offered him a worthy leadership position in the government, but it wasn't clear if Fedorov accepted the offer. The Ukrainian leader says he made the decision after a series of meetings with military commanders. Hundreds took to the streets in Kyiv for the 5th day on Monday, protesting against Zelensky's government reshuffle and the dismissal of Defense Minister Mikhailo Fedorov.
The Chinese Medicine Hospital of Hong Kong will launch 2 special treatment programs targeting stroke and low back pain on Monday. Those are the first 2 special programs out of the 12 that the hospital will introduce this year. Mimosa Ngai reports.
Starting July 27, patients who suffer from stroke and low back pain can receive treatments at the Tseungkwan Chinese Medicine Hospital. Under the post-stroke rehabilitation, 2 plans are available for patients, post-acute stroke and post-stroke sequela treatments. The former includes a consecutive 3-week day patient service. The latter offers a consecutive 8-week consultation service, and patients could receive a week of day patient service depending on their clinical needs. The plans also provide other treatments ranging from acupuncture, moxibustion to Western medicine. For acute low back pain, a 4-session of day patient service is provided. Subacute and chronic low back pain patients can receive a consecutive 4-week consultation service. Other treatments include acupuncture, herbal steam bath, and physiotherapy. The hospital says it will roll out 10 more specialist programs this year, while another 11 will be introduced in the coming 5 years.
First batch of the special disease we cover the stroke and the low back pain, which is very common in Hong Kong, and also we based on those of the selection of the patient's needs.
Appointments for 2 special disease programs are now available for booking through a designated hotline or WhatsApp. Mamus 9, TVB News.
Patients in terminal conditions will soon be given the option to reject life-sustaining treatment upon their conditions worsening under the Advanced Medical Directive. The relevant ordinance is set to come into effect on the 31st of this month. Timothy Lee has more.
Speaking with the press today, the hospital authority shared details of the latest Advanced Medical Directive pertaining to mentally capable adult patients with terminal conditions. The document only takes effect once filled out by the patient and when it receives a doctor's signature. Under the measure, eligible patients who are suffering from terminal conditions, such as late-stage cancer, can refuse resuscitation efforts and other life-sustaining treatments. The ordinance does not apply to patients not yet of age, but a do not attempt cardiopulmonary resuscitation order could be issued under the agreement of 2 doctors and another individual, such as a family member or guardian. The order would then be placed inside this yellow bag. When asked whether healthy individuals can make AMD instructions, the HJ Clinical Ethics Committee had this to say.
Making an AMD for healthy individuals does pose challenge, but the ordinance did not prevent healthy individuals from making AMD. If you are quoting experiences from overseas, different countries or different places, they have various different prerequisites for making an AMD. For example, in places like the US, the individual does not have to attend a doctor before making it. They can sign. But in our ordinance, in order to protect our patients, we need the doctor to adequately inform the patient of the implications and the treatment options.
Addressing concerns surrounding assisted dying, Dr. Dorstad stressed the advanced decision on life-sustaining treatment ordinance is not a step for the city to adopt euthanasia. The Hospital Authority Clinical Ethics Committee added the key to ensuring the smooth implementation of the measure is for further training among HA personnel. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
In a special operation in late June, authorities uncovered suspected pharmaceutical and other products valued at a total of $87.5 million in 5 different riverboats bound for Macau. The Organized Crime Investigation Bureau found 723 kilograms of suspected controlled sea cucumbers, 1.33 million pharmaceutical products like cosmetic injectables and slimming injections, 1,500 pieces of fishing gear, and 59 kilograms of tobacco products. Officials believe the motive was to evade regulations and taxes, as both pharmaceutical and tobacco products either require permits or are subject to taxes. Authorities warn that these are serious offenses, and for imports or exports valued at over $20 million, the maximum penalty is 7 years of imprisonment. The police have arrested 4 boys on suspicion of common assault and disorderly conduct in a public place for allegedly throwing wet tissues at passersby in Chuen Wan Park. A video circulating online shows the boys riding bicycles and throwing wet tissues at multiple passersby, including 3 men and 1 woman from ages 45 to 71. The group of boys were aged 12 to 14. The police received reports from two men stating that last Saturday and Sunday evenings, they were hit on the back with wet wipes along the Chun Wan Park promenade and cycle tracks by 6 to 7 young people on bicycles. The police warn young people that age is not an excuse to break the law. The Hong Kong Dental Association flags alleged illegal consultation services offered by some mainland dental chains in Hong Kong. The association urges the public to assess the risks more carefully before undergoing treatments at some dental clinics up north. With more Hong Kong residents traveling north for dental services, some mainland dental chains have set up shop in the SAR to offer consultation services. Some display dental implant prices with complimentary transport to their mainland branches. When our TVB reporter visited one consultation station posing as a customer, staff admitted they are not licensed dentists. The Hong Kong Dental Association says in one undercover case, a staffer donning a white coat claimed to be dentist, invited a customer to sit in a dental treatment chair, used an intraoral camera to examine the mouth and provided treatment recommendations. But no dentist license was displayed at the site, raising concerns over possible illegal practice of dentistry. The Dental Association adds that advertising by these chains has become ubiquitous in Hong Kong, touting their treatment as simple, quick, and low cost, which could lead patients to underestimate the potential risks and complications.
It's also happening in Singapore, I think they're suffering from the competition from the Malaysia inland. Normal competition, we are welcome. What we're after is whenever an incident involves the permanent damage to the patient, that is irreversible damage.
A survey by the body found among 200 dentists interviewed, each received an average of 4 patients per month requiring follow-up treatment in Hong Kong after receiving services up north. Nearly 70% of these cases involved dental implants. The Hong Kong Dental Association has also signed a joint declaration with around 15 other local dental groups, alongside 2 dental academics from the Chinese mainland, urging the government to amend the Undesirable Medical Advertisement Ordinance, to include dental treatment in its schedule of regulated items. The declaration also calls for stronger oversight and regulatory clarity under the Trade Descriptions Ordinance. And that's the news. Thank you for watching.